Christian with MES Fitness. Today we are going to continue our article video series on the special equipment we have here at MES Fitness, and we're going to talk about using rubber. Okay, not rubber for protection, but rubber as in the bands, the specialty bands that we have here, all from Elite FPS. They are in order from thinnest to thickest right now. Now, these are not the thickest bands we have, and I'm doing that on purpose. The thin bands, the thin orange bands, are going to have the least amount of tension. Red's going to be a little bit more, green's going to be a little bit more, and the thick orange are going to be the most. The reason I chose these bands are these are the standard bands that I like to use when programming reverse band anything, whether it comes to deadlifting, bench pressing, or squatting. And the reason I use all these as an example is the farther you stretch a band, the more tension or the more help it's going to give you. So you can manipulate any one of these bands to give you the amount of tension that we need, and I'm going to show you a few ways to set these up to accomplish that. All right, guys, so there's several different ways to set these bands up to take weight off of the bar as you're doing your lift. Typically speaking, when you do reverse band stuff, there's different methods that people call it. They can call it the future method or an overload method. And the way that we're going to set it up today is you can see that the thin orange band is now not there. That's because I tied it to the top of the rack. Okay, so all I did with this band is it's the thinnest band we have, and you just throw it over the bar, which is now going to have a lot of tension the further down we pull it. Okay, so we are now pulling it down. You're going to put it over the collar of the bar. Now, I have this done on both sides. Okay, as you can see, this bar is floating. It's floating a little crooked because the bands are slightly off from each other, but you get the point. And what this is doing is right now this bar is floating roughly at lockout for a bench press. So what that means is 45 pounds is taken off at lockout. That gives you a good gauge of how much weight is being taken off. As this bar goes down to touch your chest, it is taking more weight off the bar. This is going to allow you more stability in your movement because it's keeping it right under those pins. So make sure when you're doing reverse band stuff that the bands are directly over where you want that bar to sit or touch on you. It's going to touch in a specific spot on your chest for bench, and it's going to sit in a specific spot when you walk the bar out. So make sure that's in the area that you want it to be in when you are walked out, or when you are walked out on bench or squat, that it's in the right position. When using red bands, we are using a different pin, but we're adding another one. So we started at the middle pin. The red one comes back under and over the pin that we started, and then comes down to give us the proper tension to try and make these decrease the help at the top of our lift. Now with the green band, since this has more tension in it, it's a stronger band, we don't need to choke up on it as much. We are now starting at the back pin, going up and over the middle pin, and then down to the bar. So with reverse bands, takes more weight off at the bottom. The weight leaves you, or the assistance leaves you, as you go further back up, and the band tension gets decreased. Okay, so from a beginner standpoint, you don't want this to help you too much. Okay, this is to help you off your chest or out of the hole, and you want all of that tension to leave you and have that weight added back on you the further you come up. So by the time you hit lockout, you want to attempt to have the most amount of weight on you so that you feel what it's like at the top end of your lift. So don't get caught up trying to make this super stiff. and aiding you throughout the whole movement. There's different applications, whether you're in a hypertrophy stage or a strength stage, that's for another video. But as of right now, if you're just getting into using reverse bands, just make sure that it's trying to not help you at the top of your lockout, whether it's deadlift, bench press, or squat. All right, guys, next up is the Slingshot. What this is, it is a piece of specialty equipment that aids you in the bench press. Okay, so one of the characteristics of muscle is elasticity. This is basically mimicking a muscle. This material does not like to be stretched, but it is pliable. Okay, it wants to snap back to its original position, which is this. This is basically putting another layer of muscle over your chest. We have plenty of different sizes in these, so these should all be able to fit people with small arms and big arms. The way I like to utilize this piece of equipment, you have a hole right here. I do not like my elbow to be in there. I like my elbow to be in the space above this hole. Okay, some people put this higher, other people put it lower. That is going to change how you are going to pull this apart. Now, the reason I say it's going to change how you pull this apart is this piece of equipment will change the movement pattern that you have while bench pressing. This does not want to be pulled apart, and because of that, it is going to pull you in. If you're bench pressing and you have a piece of equipment pulling you in, that's going to cause you to want to dump it forward because your elbow's tucked. So, when using this piece of equipment, you really have to focus on pulling the bar apart and pulling the material apart the whole way down without letting it grab your elbows and drive them in. Okay? This piece of equipment is sold online saying that it will help you bench press even when you're injured. A lot of people get caught up and say, oh, I'm injured, I put this on, I don't feel hurt anymore, so I'm going to bench more weight. Not the main reason for this. It allows you to still bench press while recovering from an injury and use that exercise prescription. It also can be used for overload training or future training like we just talked about with the reverse bands. This gives you extra help off of your chest, but remember, by the time you get to lockout, this is not working anymore. Okay? Again, we have 4 sizes and we have a few different brands of these. So if you're still having trouble with them, ask anybody in an orange shirt and we can help you with the Slingshot or any of the reverse band setup.